Hey, so we are painting lips today. So I'm so excited. I'm going to be talking about some cool things with paint parties and also painting lips. And so I want to just say hi and please say hi back. I would love to see what you're doing, what you're up to, and then also what you are excited about for this coming week. Is there anything you're excited about? So let me know in the comments. I'd love to go back and say hi. I think I can see a few of them here as well. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a mixture of two blues right now, and I'll tell you what those are in just a second. And then I'm just using a 1-inch brush, and I'm using True Blue and Crystal Blue. So a mix of True Blue and Crystal Blue just to get this background painted. Now this is a very, very simple painting for a paint party. So you could do this for like a girls' night, or let me see if I have oh good. And you could do this for a girls' night, or you could do this for a maybe like a teen party, a tween party. Let me know what you think. If you like this one, what your thoughts are. I know we've had a ton of really great response to the mushroom painting. So very excited about that. And then y'all know the drill. If you're in paint party headquarters, you will have access to the tracer for this, and you'll have access as a member of paint party headquarters to use this for your paint parties. So if this is something that you like and you are a part of paint party headquarters, remember, you'll be able to use it. Okay, so if you're new to me, please let me know. Say hi. My name is Heidi, and I teach people how to make money teaching paint parties. And I wanted to share a few things with y'all today because we're painting lips and words are powerful. So I thought, how cool would it be while I'm painting lips to talk about the power of our words? And I want to just share with you 3 points about that, and maybe you can relate. Maybe you can share your own story, in the chat. I would love that. But really, I think it's so important to watch our words. So my first thing with these lips are moving. I think about that Megan Trainor song when I paint this. But my first thing is words are powerful. How do you feel when you see somebody else succeed? Okay. Now, before we get started into this little thing, I want to share with you that if you are really struggling with, using your words wisely, it's okay. There is hope for you. I used to be the most negative person ever. And if you know me now or meet me in person, you would not think that was true at all. But I used to be so negative. My husband would make a joke. You would complain if you won the cash option of the lottery. Like, that's how negative I was. And I didn't realize it at the time. I was just basically like, everything was negative. That's how I was. Everything I said was negative. You could compliment my shirt and I would literally be like, oh, I got this on sale. Or, oh, I would almost like feel like I wasn't allowed to have good things. I don't know why. I don't know why really. I mean, that's another story for another day. But I just always had this kind of like feeling. And so whenever Bobby said that to me, I thought like, man, is that true? It took a while. He said it a few times before it really hit me. And I thought, oh my gosh, like maybe I am kind of negative. So I want to preface what I'm telling you and teaching you today that if you're negative, there is hope. There is hope for you. Okay. And this color is magenta. So I'm still using the 1-inch flat, and I'm just painting on this magenta. And when you're teaching this in a paint party, you want to make sure you keep people moving. Just like our lips are moving, we're going to keep people moving. Okay, so how do you feel when you see someone else succeed? All right, and it's okay to have like, if you're like, sometimes I feel jealous, I mean, that is a normal human reaction. What I want to challenge you with is that if you find yourself scrolling through, social media, I want to challenge you with, instead of having a feeling of envy, I want to challenge you with having a feeling of, okay, if they can do it, that means I can do it. So I kind of switched the way I thought about stuff. So let's say I'm, scrolling on social and I see somebody and they're, having a really big paint party. Instead of the feeling of, oh, must be nice, oh my gosh, they just made this much money or whatever it looks like. Instead of having that jealousy feeling, I would have the feeling of, well, if they could do it, I can do it. Right. And I know, if you've never done that before, I know it can seem kind of cheesy or even weird, but I promise you, when you start to have that feeling, it's like the whole world opens up. You start to realize like anything can happen, right? Oh, I love that, Letitia. You can manifest what you want. And if you're negative, that's all you will attract. It's so true. When you're always thinking about negative, that's what Pixie right now, where she has my daughter Pixie, she's 17 and she has a Jeep. We got her like a 2011 Jeep for her birthday when she turned 16, and she had helped pay for some of it. And we had put some money in, and we're kind of looking at a different car that has better gas mileage because, every dime that she earns is going to gas. And so she started looking at this car, and now all she sees is that car on the road. At the beginning, she goes, I really want this car because I never see it anywhere. And I was like, well, now that you're thinking about it, you're going to see it everywhere. And then the next day she came up to me and she goes, oh my gosh, Mom, you're so right. Like, I saw that car like 4 times today. And so really what your mind is thinking about is what you're going to see, what you're going to, show up, what's going to show up. So if you're always thinking this can't happen for me, or this is, this isn't going to work or whatever, that's what's going to happen, because you're always in that state of, well, it ain't going to work. Well, it's not going to work. So you have to be open to the possibilities. So I would say really be cautious and notice, maybe this weekend or this coming week, notice like, okay, if I see somebody's post, how do I feel? Do I feel sad? Do I feel jealous? Do I feel happy? Do I feel like, oh my gosh, they've done it, so I can do it? Like, what's your kind of like take stock? What do you feel? And then after you figure out what that is, if it's not, happiness for them, think, okay, what can I do to change this? How can I be like game on? If they can do it, I can do it, right? And then my number 2 thing to help you, hopefully, and again, this is just to hopefully help you see the opportunities, because as I teach thousands of people how to have a paint party business, the one thing that always comes up is competition. And what I've learned over the past several years is people will get so upset if there's competition. And I'm like, y'all, you want competition. If there's no competition, we don't have a business. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of McDonald's because a lot of people go to McDonald's. There's a lot of Subways, which Subway's the number 1 fast food place. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. But there's so many of them. It doesn't mean that, only one Subway can succeed. They're all succeeding. It's almost like more paint party businesses is better for us, because people are going to fall in love with your way of teaching, the way you do your events. I was just looking at one of the posts in Paint Party headquarters, and they were doing the electric slide, and it's like, how cool would that be if you showed up at a paint party and there was a dance break, So her paint party is going to be way different than somebody else's. Somebody else might be terrified if an electric slide all of a sudden busted out in the middle of a paint party. Like, no, I thought I was just going to sit here and paint. I don't want to do the electric slide. So there's all kinds of ways to do this, and all kinds of, you know, different personalities and different things. And I want you to put your blinders on. It's really hard, and we can get sucked up into so-and-so's this or so-and-so's that or this or, whatever. But when you put your blinders on and you have the attitude, like I adopted this attitude from J-Lo years ago. She was in an interview. I don't remember. And let me know if you like J-Lo. She was in an interview and she said something like, I'll outwork anybody in the room. And I thought, man, like I'm always going to have that attitude. Like, there may be another business, there may be another, um, paint party business, whatever, but I will always, always outwork anybody else in the room. And once you start to, make on those promises, I promise this isn't going to be a mustache. I'm doing a few little shading things here. But once you start making, like kind of keeping those promises to yourself, you'll realize that, yeah, you will show up. You will outwork somebody else in the room and you will host the best paint parties. Yours will be the most fun, right? And so you have to put your blinders on and go, okay, what do I really want? And one of the things I see that happens is before you know it, you're like, oh, I need to do art kits. I need to do online paint parties. I need to do. And you're doing 1,000 different things. And then you're so overwhelmed that you don't even know which way's up. And then you're blaming other people saying there's too much competition. And it's like, wait a minute. Have you even tried? Wait a minute. What are you doing right now to bring in extra money, for example? So a long time ago, let's see, live like life is not a competition. Oh, I love that. Honey, start with one and then build and create. Exactly. We got to build. We got to take time to do that. Another thing, I want to just make sure this is pretty dry. But we got to put our blinders on. And I think that's one of the things that we can just get overwhelmed with. And I'm guilty of this too. But we get overwhelmed and then we just kind of throw our hands in the air and wave them like we just don't care. No, I'm just kidding. But I do love that song. But we do. We throw our hands in the air and then we get overwhelmed. We get, upset because we're seeing somebody else succeed. And I'm using the 24 karat gold. And instead of putting our blinders on and going, okay, what can I do today to make some extra money using my paint party business, selling some art kits, whatever it is. And instead, we don't put our blinders on. And the next thing you know, we're overwhelmed, we're confused, and we're wondering why we're not getting ahead, why we're not making anything happen. And it's really because we just start comparing ourselves to everybody else. So once I realized, like, oh my gosh, if I could just not do that and spend the time working on my own stuff, spend the time making things happen, I realized, like, oh, I can get a lot done. So while there's a bunch of people that's, chit chatting and talking about this and talking about that and worried about this and worried about that, I've already done 2, 3, 4, 10 moves that helps my business while they're talking about something else. So I want you to be really careful. We're the whole thing is words are powerful. That's why I'm painting these lips. And words are powerful, and we have to be cautious, of what we're speaking, of what we're saying, what we're drawing our attention to. Sometimes I'll have somebody, come talk to me about something, and I'm like, I don't even want to give it attention. I don't know about you, but time is our most valuable resource. And so sometimes you just got to not let that stuff get to you. So I just want you to be really cautious of that. And then my third tip is your definition of success is going to look different than your neighbor's definition of success. It will look different than your friend's definition of success. It will look different than your spouse's definition of success. Bobby loves redoing old cars. Like, he's on his way right now to go pick up a $1,300 Volkswagen. Like, he can take anything apart and put it back together. Like, he is so talented at that. And so Bobby right now, he's going to get that $1,300 Volkswagen. And he is so excited. He's going to tear the whole thing apart. He'll clean it up. He'll spend weeks, if not months, on that project, and he'll have a blast. He's been doing that since we started dating. When I was 15, I remember going to with, him and his dad, and they would be, taking apart an engine and putting it back together. Like, he's just always done that. But that's like his definition of success. He loves that. To me, that is so boring, right? Like, I want to be in here painting. To him, sitting here painting all afternoon sounds awful. To me, I'm having a blast. Like, I would love to just paint lips and paint, mushrooms and paint all this fun stuff. Like, to me, that is so much fun. Like, that's what lights me up. That's what makes me excited. So you got to remember, each of us have a definition of success that's different. Years ago, I remember we had lived in this trailer, and it was so old. Like, we paid $6,000 for this trailer, and it was right on a river, and there's so many snakes. I'll have to tell you about the snake stories later. But it would get so cold in this house that I would go to my mother-in-law's. It was so cold, like literally we would keep the bedroom warm, and then I would go to I'd go in the kitchen, and the Dawn soap on the on the sink would be frozen solid. Like, that's how cold the house was. And so I would go to my mother-in-law's, and I'd do my laundry, and I'd, do some different stuff. And while my laundry was being, while I was washing my laundry at their house while they were at work, I would grab their Tostito chips and their Tide detergent. I'd use that for my laundry, and their Tostito chips, and then drink my father-in-law's Ensure. And I remember just being like, this is the life. Like, man, if I could just afford Tostito chips, the name brand, and Tide detergent, like, life will be good, And I remember that just being such a big deal for me. And so even today, sometimes, like when I'm, eating Tostitos, I'm just like, man, I love a name brand chip. It's just like the stupidest stuff. But we all have, a definition of success that means something to us. So remember, as you're going through life and you're looking at what somebody else is doing online, or you're looking at social media posts, and all of a sudden you've, came to this place of where you feel jealous versus this feeling of empowerment of, wait, if they can do it, I can do it. Or you have this feeling of like, oh my gosh, I want that. Well, do you even want that? Sometimes you'll see somebody else's vacation pictures, and you're like, I want to, why can't they go? What, blah, blah, you get into this whole frenzy, and then you realize, like, oh, you don't even like snow skiing, or you don't even like the beach, right? But you'll get yourself all worked up because you see somebody else's dream. And so I want you to, instead of having that attitude, have the attitude of, how do you feel when someone else succeeds? And have that attitude of happy for them, and have an attitude of, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And then number 2, put your blinders on. Okay. That is so important as you are, doing this as a side hustle. You want to make a few hundred extra bucks a month, or a few $1,000s a month. Make sure you're putting your blinders on, because if you're starting to compare yourself to everybody, you're never going to get anything done. And then 3, figure out what your definition of success is. It's not the same as your neighbors. Okay. So if this resonated with you, if this helped you, if you want to hear more things like this, please let me know. And if you notice, this painting took less than 20 minutes. So this is a great painting to teach for tweens, or even a fun girls' night out. So if you're in Paint Party headquarters, remember, you're going to have access to the tracer and be able to use this for your paint parties. If you're not in Paint Party headquarters, you should check it out. It's pretty awesome. All right. I hope this helped you, and I hope that you have success in whatever you're doing.